So I put a note out on my Facebook group about what do you want to do for a challenge? And I have in my mind what a challenge is, and it was really interesting to see all the kind of things that you were thinking of for a challenge. And so today I want to give you a little brief what that's going to be, what it's going to look like, catch you up on all the things we've been working on, and talk a little bit about getting our fabric into a better storage situation. I'm Pat Sloan. Welcome to my neighborhood. I am so happy that you're here. If this is the first time you're watching, or if you haven't done it yet, if you would go below and hit the subscribe at YouTube. If you're watching this over at Facebook, just click on over to YouTube and subscribe. And if you click the bell afterwards, you'll be able to see a notice every time a new video comes out, so you won't miss anything. So first, a little snack chat, because we were on vacation for a week. We went away, saw my family. We had family fly in. My mom flew in to my brother's, and we drove down to my brother's. And one of the things we did was go out to eat a lot. Practically all the meals. That's what vacation's for. And there was a little shop that had ice cream, but it had all of those candies from different time periods. You know, like you've seen those boxes, probably the candy from the 1960s. So we went in and did a little shopping, and I have to show you what the shipping department purchased, because first of all, the colors just cracked me up. So I have them laid out down here. This was, now I have to admit, I got one of them, but let's get a little bit closer. So we have, from the nostalgia section of Snack Chats, the Sugar Daddies and Sugar Babies, which were kind of related. These things were dang sweet. You can see they're flat. He opened them. The Mallow Cups, which my brother wrote after we left and said they were amazing. He loved these. The caramels, which you can still buy these. I mean, you can still buy all of these. And then this is the one I got, the Charleston Chews. Usually I like to get them in little pieces, but this is like one big bar. We haven't opened it yet. But look at the colors. Yellow. They're different companies too. We went and looked it up after we laid them out. The first thing I said is like, look at these colors. Yellow, red, and brown. There's like one little green marker. I just thought that was so funny. Too funny. Lots of good yummy stuff we collected, and we had a great time, like all the nostalgia, because my brother is 12 years younger than me, and his wife is about that same age. So, you know, they have a whole different type of candy that they remember from childhood than Greg and I remember from childhood. Just that, you know, 10 or 12 years makes a huge difference in what was out in the market and what was fun. So first I want to just catch you up on a few of the sew-alongs, see what was going on. And then after that, I want to talk about the challenges. And at the end, stay to the end, all the way to the end, because I have a goodie bag that I'm going to send to somebody. It's a pretty nice one, so you're going to want to stay and know all about that. So first of all, the Block Wednesday. Here is our block that came out last Wednesday, and it was the theme. This is called Winter Fun. This theme was skiing. So I have lots of great memories from skiing as a kid. We did it, of course, as an adult. I did zip. You know, like I think I went once in college, and that was it. So that didn't keep going on and on by any means. Okay, so I've got my storage box for the Perfect 5. And what I'm doing with the Perfect 5 is the Fat Quarter Shop is doing an actual sampler. They have a sampler, and then every week you can get how many of that quilts block to do. There are 16 quilts in the book, and I'm doing just one, pretty much just one block from each quilt. So this week we had 2 blocks. This one, which I just think is super fun, super fun, and I would do a whole quilt of this one. And they're all named for cookies. So that, what was that one called? I forget. Hold on one second, because I'm looking. Oh, that was the oatmeal raisin. Yes, this is my other brother's favorite cookie is oatmeal raisin. Then this one was called the chocolate chip. Of course, you know, everybody has a chocolate chip recipe that, you know, is their favorite. Crispy, soft, nuts, no nuts, other types of chips besides chocolate. So they're tinier blocks, and when you do them, their setting is, let me just show you the setting for the full quilt. So it sets it as, with solid blocks next to it. Each quilt in this book, The Perfect 5, tells you how many charm packs. So like to do a quilt this size, you need 3 charm packs. And you could always, if you had 2 charm packs, then you could go into your fabric and just cut up enough that work with it, that kind of a thing. So I think it's really versatile for those 5-inch squares. And talking about pre-cut sizes is going to be super important when we talk about scraps, when that part of the discussion comes up for challenges. So this is the book, and I do love the little ruler because it's just perfect. It makes it easy. They did all the markings exactly how they're going to be used. So that is the Perfect 5, and I keep it in my storage bin, which I have a ton of these. Like in case you've never seen it, over there in my closet. Okay, go right out there. You can see it. There is my in my koala studio. That door has all of these storage bins, and it actually has my iron on the one shelf. I could have one more shelf of storage bin, but I have the iron in there, and spray starch and basting spray, the mini iron, that kind of a thing. Okay, what else did we do? So we're also doing glow, and the glow has 4 rows, and each row has 3 blocks. So each week you do 3 blocks, and we'll have a break this week so people can get caught up. But this last Thursday I put out the colorway for this one, and I showed you some pictures where I took glow with me down to Florida and took pictures of it with the palm trees and out in the mangroves. That was so fun. So I need to take it now. I just found out that we have like a town center up the street, and they've got all their Christmas lights up. My dad and his wife just sent a picture last night with all the lights, and I thought, now I got to take glow up there and get sort of like a night picture. So there are the greens from my Bonnie Lane. This is such a cute block, and it really works up fast, so it does not take you a lot of time. This is a pattern, and the pattern has 4 different sizes for the quilt. So you could do just 3 rows of 3, 4 rows of 3, and then whatever the bigger ones are. I forgot now. So here's the other one that I did the first week. Because I've already done the whole quilt, for the sew along, I'm doing 1 block for each row. So I'll have 4 blocks that I'll either set into maybe a baby quilt. I think that would be really pretty in glow. All right, there's another sew along that I'm not doing right now, but I am going to be doing one part of it, and that's in April. That's a long sew along, I know. They're very long. So this is Lori Holt's Farm Girl Vintage 2. They've just started. This week there was the block. There's a lot of designers are just doing their week. They asked us if we wanted to participate, and her books are so full of great projects. I said, of course, it'd be super cute, fun to do. So this week was the kitty block, and that is it's darling, the barn cat. It's called the barn cat because it's farm stuff. But I also love the zinnia for this week. And this is all spiral bound, this book. I'll link you to it. So there is the zinnia. But I thought that might make this like a cute mug rug. Just do the one zinnia. I might have to do that in my Bonnie Lane. So that is the Farm Girl Vintage 2. If you love these style quilts and you wanted to sew along, this is going on. But I'm not hosting it or running it. I'm just going to be doing my week, which is in April, which seems like a long ways off. But my blocks are super cute from in there, so you will see them then. So another couple things I got in that I want to show you first, because they're upcoming, is the charity block of the month. Like every year I've been sewing along with Fat Quarter Shop and Moda Fabrics to support a charity. And Kimberly Jolly and Kevin Jolly, the owners of the Fat Quarter Shop, they have selected a charity, and now they're focusing on the Make-A-Wish charity, and they focus on the chapter that is where they are located in Texas. And so the monies that are raised are gone to Make-A-Wish. And I think last year enough was raised by you and the Fat Quarter Shop and My Charity Quilt and Moda to make 4 wishes. I think it was 4 wishes they ended up with. So the next year's starts in February. So you may have seen a few things about it, but it's called Topia. And it's a sampler. There's a multiple size blocks. And I am going to use my Bonnie Lane fabric, and I'll be sewing along every single block and putting it into the quilt, and then my quilt will be put up to auction for charity for the Make-A-Wish. So they've just come out with this super, super cute Bloomtopia pin, what are they called? Pin minders, or pin, like you pin it on here because it's got a magnet. And then you can put your needle or, your pin if you, don't want to stick it through your fabric, and, don't put it in your mouth either. So Bloomtopia, in the back it says, where flowers bloom, so does hope, which was a Lady Bird Johnson saying. So also there's a project bag. Ta-da! I think this is super fun. I love I cannot have enough project bags. So that is the other fun things for Bloomtopia. And on my website is where I'll have all the information for this. I'll link to it from right below the video. There's a place for some text, and that will be where you can link from Facebook or from YouTube. But you go over to my website and I'll have all these things listed so you can find them again. All right, so let's get cozy. Let's get cozy and talk about challenges, because I get something warm to drink. So I put a note out because I've been thinking about this for a while. I think we need, you, I, me. I need something else to do. No, I like to motivate and do it together. Because if you want to accomplish something, it is often better to be in a community where there are other people doing the same thing. So you're basically a team, and the team is working for a goal. The goal might be a goal you're all working on, like the charity quilt, where everybody's working to support a charity, but you're also having fun, or it might be just a personal challenge or a personal goal. So that's where I'm focused on, the challenge part. So I asked if you'd be interested in a monthly challenge and kind of what it is that you want to focus on. And it was fun. It was fun to read all of the things that you have an interest in, because a lot of it you were focused on, oh, I want to do a quilt challenge. I want to make a certain kind of quilt or learn a certain technique. But that isn't what I was thinking. So my thought is to make it easier for us to do those things, make it easier for us to sew. Because a lot of times we get bogged down in whatever it is. There's something that stalls us, bogs us down. And I want to have us look at that, look at those barriers to sewing, and those are the kind of challenges I'm looking at. What can we do that will be eliminating obstacles to letting us do what is fun, letting us do what we want to do, letting us sew. And a lot of that has to do with our environment, our time management, our own interests, our guilt. Be honest, we have guilt. So those are the kind of things I'd like to address. Being that it's already, into November, not quite the middle of November yet, but we're already a little bit into November. I'm going to use a challenge for November, December, because often there are parts of December that are very busy for everybody, and we don't want to get too bogged down in things in December. But I'm sort of looking at where your interests are and what I see as I want to focus on, and sort of melding all that. Now, things like a quilt challenge. That's what I have like Block Wednesday for. And I also am planning several challenges that'll last just 1 month to make a quilt. Make a quilt in a month, which will be super easy, which will be using your stash, that kind of a thing. But that's different than this challenge. This challenge is, I started out, so after everybody gave a bunch of their ideas, then I put up a poll with 3 of the ones that I think are the top. They're top for me. They're not, I think. They're my top ones. And they were mentioned by you too. But this is where I wanted to let you see where I'm focused. So the 3 of them are to a challenge just to clear off your work surfaces. Get your work surfaces usable. That's what I mean by that. Clear it off, meaning usable. Because so many people will tell me, I can't use my work table because it's got too much stuff piled on it, or this or that, it's the kitchen table, or I'm sewing, and now I have to wrap presents, and, so that stuff's on there, the kids' projects, whatever. The table. I mean, the next thing option was to get your fabric organized. And that resonated a lot. And the third one was get your project storage organized, because you can't make something if you can't find it. And you can't be happy with making if you don't know what you have. So all of this sort of ties in for me, that it's one sort of big ball of things to do. And it's a lot of things. So the 3 items, all of you wanted to, not all, a larger percentage, maybe 2/3 of you want to get your fabric under control. That'd be probably the best way. Get it under control. You might have some of it organized, but you might have bins of other things, and so that was your top thing, getting your fabric organized. And then services, and then storage. Which storage of your projects makes sense for me to be the thing you do after you've gotten the other 2 under control. You can sort of start that anytime, I can talk about that, but all of these things end up being like a lot of information. I'm really interested in possibly, what I'm thinking about doing is small videos on them, short talks, like taking maybe for 15 minutes, just do that, or 12 minutes, just do that. And there'll be short snippets of things. And that during the time that I would post these then in YouTube and in Facebook, and have it there for you to see. I've been doing these short little videos, like 5-minute, 3-minute, 5-minute videos, and they might even be that short, depending on what the item is that I want to encourage you about. So I don't know if you've been seeing those. Some of them I haven't put on Facebook on YouTube rather, because they're really short. I've just put them on Facebook. So they're in my group and on my page. So I hope that you've seen them. If you have, let me know. And if you're watching this right now, if you would like the video, that would be really great. It lets everybody know, lets me know you're there. So just click the like while we're talking. So fabric storage. I then put out another query on my Facebook group, on my community there, asking you, well, what about fabric storage? What in fabric storage is your nemesis? What is it that is like, oh, I need to figure this out? What part of fabric storage? So that was also wonderful. I actually took all of all the people who answered so far, took your comments, and there's Shannon and Sandra and Robin and Kimberly and Kathleen and Paula and Vilma and Deb and Patty, Nana and Dolores and Carol and Laura. I mean, I could just go on and on. Lisa, Rebecca, Ann, Joanne, Jenny, Vicky, Kathy. All of these people went and shared some information about, or shared their thoughts about what they want to know about fabric organization. So let me tell you a little bit about me, just real short, because I'm pretty much born organized. I don't know if you are, but it's served me. It's part of what I am. It's how I think and how I process everything. I'm a very organized person. I wrote software code for many, many years, and part of that is just organization and processes, step by step. How do you do this? I mean, all of what I've ever done is all wrapped around the fact that my brain works in step-by-step mode. My brain works in filing cabinets and folders, and like it's all organized that way. It's how I like to do things. So organizing stuff is fun. It's fun for me. But I know it's not fun for everybody. Your brains don't work like that. It isn't something you normally do in your everyday to day, is have to sit down and think through what is the best way for you to have something organized. And that's the key. There's no one way. What's best is for how your brain will work, which means if I sort something one way, that's because when I'm thinking about it, that's the first and most logical way for me to find it. But your brain, when you're looking or sorting something, it might think and operate in an entirely different way. And if you sort it like mine, you will never find it. Your brain just won't come to that path. It doesn't go to that same path. So there's lots. What I've learned, and a lot of it is from writing software code for so many years, is there's many ways to get the end goal. Here's what you need. Here's the final goal. From here to here, somebody can go like this, another person can go like that, a person can go here. I mean, you can get from here to here in 1,000 different ways, and they're all correct because this was the goal. This is what you wanted, and this is what you ended up with. So to get to between them, there's not one right way. There's a lot of right ways. So that makes it a tiny bit more challenging when you do something like this, because I don't know how your brain works, but what I'm going to do is help you figure it out. I'm going to help you figure out how your brain works. So that way you can build a system, you can build an organization system that works for you. And you will need to think about it. It isn't something you can just say, oh, I'm just going to do this. You need to understand yourself a little bit, your work habits a little bit, how you process things, how you look for things. And so that's why I started thinking this is just a kind of a big picture. But I thought I would just do a few highlights about how I work, just to give you a feel for one way. And then I'll do a little kickoff assignment. How's that sound? Like an assignment? Yes. For you to start this. And it isn't something you have to do all at once. You don't have to block out a whole day for this, nothing like that. Don't ever think like that, because that stops you dead in your tracks if you're like, well, I don't have a whole day to do this, so I can't do it. No, you don't need a whole day. You just need a few minutes. You just need to stop your brain and think about it for a little bit. And then think about it again and again and again. And that's part of what the challenge is for me, is to come into our Facebook group and come here on YouTube with videos that will trigger you to be thinking about it. Just like tidying up 10 minutes a day, like getting things tidied up. Don't leave it all, till it piles up to here and then you decide, oh, I better put some stuff away. That if you're doing things on a constant basis and you're hearing about it on a constant basis, that will keep you motivated. Plus, if we're doing this in the Facebook group, and I will probably do a blog post here and there, but actually for those of you who are not on Facebook, if you've thought about joining, you can actually use the YouTube here as your community place, and you can leave comments. Problem is you can't leave pictures. Neither at my blog can you leave pictures unless I put a picture sharing, which I could do. I could write something there. I have to think through all that part because I know not everybody's on Facebook. And for those of you who only do Instagram, it's really not conducive for that environment either. It's really excellent for the Facebook group. And if you just build an account just to come to my Facebook group, hey, you get in on everything because that's the main place. So I want to do an assignment, but first let me tell you a little bit about how, a little sort of like an overview. Let me just say, that's the right word, an overview. So I have sorted fabric every which way to Sunday, and over time I boiled it down to what works best for me. So because I sit in this environment, let me just give you a little cruise around while I'm talking. Because I sit here in my studio all the time, like all the time, it's my happy place, I'm here all the time. You can see I have shelves up above, and that is my fabric storage, plus I have it in that koala studio there. Then I have, okay, over here is my design wall. Then I have more storage, which goes down below. And then on the back side, that's the hall into the house. And let me come back around. So in the koala table here, under this back side where I'm sitting is shelving. So under here, there's shelving. And down there are more bins. And then I have this unit over here. That's another koala unit, and that has more bins. So that's pretty much it. Now I do have things in I do have auxiliary storage in my dining room for things that I work on. I have 2 great big shelving units with things on them. And I have stuff in my pantry, not much, but a little bit, because it's right out there. And upstairs, our 1 extra bedroom is work storage. So that's for the quilts mostly, and like batting, and because I run a business in a home with only 3 bedrooms, no basement, no usable attic. We do have a garage, but that's Greg's stuff. So we're a very small home, and it's very limited. So in my space, so I don't keep everything. So that's a discussion. A discussion for keeping everything, which will be part of what we do during this whole sequence of challenges. So what I did over the years was I decided that I used to have shelving with all the fabric out, which was lovely when I worked in an office because I came home and it was so inspirational to see it all. But once I worked at home, which I've been working at home for 20 years, my business is 20 years old full time, I needed to have things calmer so that they're not so chaotic with color all the time. And that is where the bins came in. So this is the bins. So these are the bins, and no, you can't get them anymore in red. But sometimes Target has these. I bought these at the Container Store probably 18 years ago, a long time ago. They're metal with a plastic weave, which I'm sure at some point that plastic weave will get cracky. But right now, it's working pretty good. They're not at all. And plus, they're lighter. I also have some other bins under here, different style, some baskets and some other kind of bins. So pretty much what I decided over the years was that all the fabric I need to use, I really need to have it where I can get access to it, because if I decide to store polka dots in a bin in the extra bedroom under the bed, I just basically no longer own that fabric, because I never think to go in the extra bedroom under the bed in the bin when I'm getting ready to work on a quilt. So I need everything together. So what I do, my basic thing came down to boiling it down to the bins are by color. So let me just show you the green. I pulled the green bin up here. So here's the green bin. And this has, like right now, like I don't keep tons and tons of fabric. Like I just can't, because for what I do for my business, I have to use newer fabric, and I'm not making scrap quilts for my business. So I have to keep a lot of newer fabric, even though in here there is older fabric, I must say. But I do keep it for small things, and actually eventually I'll have to move some of them on. I give them to somebody who works with them for charity. So sizes, there was questions that came in like, okay, so questions that came in were, where do you store it? What size bins do you store it? How do you fold it? What do you keep? What's the size of a scrap? So there's all kinds of those questions, and that's why I started sorting the questions, because you see I'm very organized. I started sorting your questions by topic so that I could get a feel for what it is. So these bins, for me, just an example, for me to sort these, this is my bin. What is my most efficient way to sort this? That I can see it. I don't want to sort it so that they're flat like this, because I never see what's on the bottom. I sort it so everything's sticking end up, so I can see everything. And I don't mind that it's a little bit messy like this. This doesn't bother me, but if it gets too messy, I will refold it and put it back in, because if it gets messy, it takes up more space. Do you ever have one of those big bins where you've just like tossed everything? It's like a total chaotic mess. Have you ever gotten it out and actually sorted it and folded it nice and neat, and it's like, I don't know, like an eighth of the size space it takes? Anything that you just toss and jumble takes up more space. So occasionally if I just jam something in here, and yes, I do that, I'm like, I'm in a hurry, I just jam it in there. Well, then those jams take up more space, and then all of a sudden this looks full, and I could refold it and have more room. There was another question I'll just touch on briefly, is like, what size is a scrap? And that's kind of personal. Somebody said, well, people are saying a fat quarter is a scrap. Well, a fat quarter is not a scrap to me. That's a bigger piece of fabric. I do whole projects with fat quarter bundles. That's not a scrap. A scrap ends up being things that might be like that. So this is just a square that's left. Oh, there's two of them. I didn't know that. I knew there was one, I didn't know there's two. Why are these in here? So these, they're not, I can't like add these into a quilt and use it in multiple blocks. You know, like what are the, you know, so these need to go into my scrap system, which will be a whole nother video, a whole nother conversation, the scrap system. But then I have this one that it was given to me by somebody in a class. So I have like a little piece of it and a big, look at the crabs. Aren't they darling? They're so cute. So I have these little crabs. So this is a little bit bigger piece, but this obviously is not bigger. So this I'm leaving out because that needs to, same with these squares. I'll just leave those there for now. But they, see here, I'm stuffing this back in. I'm just stuffing it in there. And eventually the bottom gets all wrinkled up, and you know, it's not a good plan to stuff it. The other question that I got asked was, what do you do with bundles? And I'm like a lot of people. When I get a bundle, I'm going to keep the bundle together. So here is some bundles. They're fat quarter bundles. This is extras from my fat quarter bundle. This is one of these dessert rolls. I forget what size these are. They might be fat eighths or something like that. So right now I haven't decided what to do with these. So they're staying in there. But there are other bundles that come, and I want to show you these because these are like, you can get these subscriptions to the, what are they called? The So Colorful subscriptions, and those I will take out. So like there was black, because these are by color. So there's black, there's orange, and then I kept this one to show you the purple one and the purple one. So these are great stash builders. But for me, these need to come out of the packages now, and I will put them in the bin. So I was super excited that October was black because I have not bought a lot of black fabric lately, and so I need some fresher colors, some more interesting things. So it's a really nice bundle. So that needs to go into the bundle, into the black bin. So there's a lot that can be done. And what I want to do is give you this challenge. I want you first, after this is for the next few days, you know, think about, how do you look for fabric? If you're looking for fabric, are you looking for, and you're going to look for it different ways. Sometimes you might be in the middle of a project and you're going to go, you need another piece of green. So you're going to go, you know, looking in the green bin for something that you can add to the quilt that it needs. But a lot of you that I've watched how you make your quilts, you're not so much scrap quilters. You have a project, you get a set of fabric, and it could be kind of scrappy, that's fine, but then you have maybe a basic background that you know, maybe it's a green and purple, and you have a white background. So you might have several greens, several purples, and a white background, but you kind of collect all that up for a specific project, and then you do the work. You make the quilt. You're not sort of making one block, going through the greens, going through the purples, going through all of your light colors and making one block, and then going to the next one and making one block. You're kind of more organized. From what I can see from the finished quilts, is that you have a plan of what's going to be in that quilt, and then you make the quilt. So you know, the fact that you might do you really need to go look for one piece of green that often? If you're an appliquer, that might be the case if you have not collected all your fabric in advance. If you're just making, you know, like making leaves, but maybe you ran out, so you need to go find another green for the leaves, or you want a little variety, so you need another little piece. So that is, you know, I want you to think about how, that's your assignment. Think about how you look for fabric, how you work with a quilt with your fabric, because that's going to be what you need to know in order to sort it and store it, because that is the first thing we'll do. Now, personally, I think you need a clean surface, because if your surface isn't clean, you don't have any place to work. You don't have any place to put things. You don't have any place to sort. You don't have any place to think. So if you are like every time you want to work, you have to go to your workspace and do this, clean your workspace first. Just put it away and then start thinking about how you look at your fabric. How do you work with your fabric? Because mine's by color. I've got green, purple, yellow, black, orange, blue, turquoise, white. And there might be a couple bins of these, you know, for some of them. Like I have a couple bins of red, and like purple is pretty small, only like a half a bin of purple, because I don't have a huge amount of fabric. So that is sort of what's been going on with the thought on challenge, and I hope that kind of makes some sense. And let me know in the comments if you like the idea of small, shorter videos with specific things to do or specific ways to think, where I can show you different things. Like somebody said, you know, how do you sort a particular type of color? Well, that'd be just a great sort of short video on that. Okay, so tell me all about that stuff. I want to show you one more thing that came in, and I want to talk about this real quick. So I got another pair of cute socks. Today I have on scissor socks, but these are super cute. And if you haven't bought cute socks, you deserve some. And if you're cross stitching, this is a brand new cross stitch that came out with the trees, you know, bringing home the Christmas tree. There's also a quilt in the Vintage Christmas book. And this one is the same images. Somebody in the group made one, and it was so darling. So there it is. Isn't that cute? I don't know. I think next year we might need to make that one together. If you like that idea, let me know. It's really cute. Okay. I have a giveaway. This needs to go to a new home. It is a nice big bundle of Allison Glass's funky bright Christmas fabric. See, there's all kinds of little Christmas images. Some of them, there's one. It's in teals and sort of a green and lots of pink. There's a stripe, so some of them aren't necessarily Christmas. And I have a little Olfa cutter and pin for this one. Plus, a reader sent in, or listener, Kathy, sent in this for somebody. It's a gift card to do a class at IQ Quilt online. It's an online class, and she has sent this as part of the giveaway. So Kathy, thank you so much for sending this along and letting somebody enjoy this class. I think that is so generous of her. It's so sweet. So at my website, you want to leave me a comment, and the link is down below. It's blog.patsloan.com, but it's the same website for, you know, so that's where it is. But leave me a comment and tell me if you are going to be doing fabric organization with me. If you want to, and then tell me, well, mostly, you know, if you can, just tell me what part of fabric organization you're interested in focusing on. Do you need to sort it? Do you need to figure out bins? Do you need to redo your whole space? Do you need to focus on your scraps? Because I know there's a whole lot of questions on how to deal with smaller pieces, and that'll be a separate discussion. Yeah? Because we all have smaller pieces. So you're going to go to my website. First, you're going to subscribe. You're going to go to my website, and if you love communities, come to Quilt Along with Pat Sloan at Facebook and join me there for my neighborhood. I'm Pat Sloan. I love you for being here. I love you for helping each other. You're an amazing amount of quilters out there. So We'll see you. We'll see you online. Bye-bye.